You want to lose fat. So you're looking for a new workout program, a new diet to follow. What if in searching for more tactics, a new thing to do, you're actually keeping yourself stuck, approaching weight loss the old way instead of approaching it the new way? You're actually keeping yourself stuck in a loop. I know I was stuck in that loop for the longest time, searching for a new plan, a new diet to follow, and this ultimately made me see results, but fall back into old patterns and regain all the weight I'd lost. So today I want to help you bust through this loop, outline what the old way was and how you're going to approach the new way, and then also help you set the systems that will work. Because it's not just the workouts, it's not just diet that really add up. So let's talk about what the old way of approaching weight loss and the new way of approaching weight loss really is. So I want to talk about the old way of dieting first, because you're probably about to repeat the same pattern, which will ultimately keep you stuck and not seeing the fat loss results that you want. So let's talk about first diets with labels. That's keto, carnivore, vegan, vegetarian, paleo. It's these diets that almost give us a sense of identity through them, but ultimately hold us back from finding something sustainable. Then it's the marathon gym sessions, right? We go for the program that's 6 days a week, an hour in the gym, twice a day. That's simply unsustainable and unrealistic, leaving us like we just don't have the time to do what is necessary. Then it's the doing more attitude. Think about how many times you're like, well, I'm not seeing results, so I'm going to do more. Oh, wait, I'm still not seeing results, so I'm going to cut my calories even lower. I'm going to go to the gym even more. I'm going to throw in all these other things, right? I'm trying supplement. We do more, right? It ultimately makes us feel burned out and we end up giving up. Then it's the all or nothing attitude. So often we get a program, we go for a new workout plan, a new diet, and we have to go all in, right? If we can't do everything perfectly, why do anything at all? And so ultimately, the first time life gets in the way, we stop doing something perfectly, we end up falling off, we see the weight come back on. Then it's the restriction. How many times have you said, I love this so much, only to cut it out first? That was the biggest saboteur for me for the longest time. I can tell you that. But restricting, it leads to deprivation. It leads to wanting to think more. The second you say, you can't have that cookie, what do you think about now? The cookie, right? So that restriction, right? That's the way we always go, cutting things out to see results without any game plan as to how they're going to work back in, whether it's sustainable for us. And the final real big piece of the old way of achieving fat loss that I see people falling into and that I fell into for the longest time was creating this extreme calorie deficit. Less calories, we think we're going to lose fat faster, we're going to lose weight on the scale faster, and that might work initially, but because our body is amazing and it fights the weight loss process, this doesn't work for long, but it does leave us hangry, miserable, low energy, ending up regaining the weight, feeling like we eat even less, and we can look at a cookie now and then gain even more weight, right? So this is the way we almost always approach dieting. And even as you're looking for tactics now, right, you're looking for new workouts, you're looking for new diet, and you're about to approach things in the same way. Well, I want to stop you right there and break this pattern. So in this video, I'm going to go over how to do all of these new things to approach dieting the new way and really see the fat loss results that you deserve. So first, you're going to bust through that change loop. And I'm going to dive into what the change loop really looks like, how it's keeping you stuck right after this. You need to also set your GPS. When was the last time you assessed who and what you are and what's realistic for your lifestyle? Often we don't. I can tell you I would always look for a new program. I never assessed, was this program actually right for me? I get caught up in what my friend was doing or what someone else said was really good. Instead of saying, does this fit me? And if you're going to set that GPS, you need to know that. So we're going to go over how to set your GPS to actually achieve the results that you want. Then we're going to talk about habit stacking. Okay? Because so often, again, we get that all or nothing attitude. We create all these new routines and things that we have to do, and we never assess how we can actually stack these habits to be realistic for us and create the sustainable lifestyle. Because I'm going to tell you, discipline is built, and this is the key component to building that discipline. Then less is more. Yep, less is more. This is not one of those things that's too good to be true. Eat whatever you want and see results. Never work out and see results. But so often in doing more, we actually hold ourselves back and we hit that point of no return, that point where we're actually creating adaptations that fight against us because our body wants to fight the weight loss process. So sometimes less is more, both physically and mentally. Then I want to talk about nutrition by addition. Yes, instead of restricting, think about the things you can add in. This mindset shift is huge. And a lot of what we're going to go over today, guys, I know that exercise and workouts are super sexy, but if the mindset is not backing them up, if it's not backing up your actions, you are not going to see the results that you deserve. And so this simple swap of nutrition by addition might be the biggest game changer for you. And I'm going to show you how to do that. And then unlearning to act. Yes, in creating new habits, new workout plan, new diet habits, all are about not only implementing new things, but unlearning and breaking old patterns. And that is something that we so often don't recognize as being the hardest part. So in order to really outline how you are going to do this new way and how you're going to apply it to your lifestyle today, even, I want to start by talking about busting that change loop. Okay. So right now, that change loop is all in front of you. You see, this program promise, you see the habit overload, you see the emotional sabotage, the double down, the strength revealed, and the results snowball. I'm going to talk about how you are going to make sure that you don't hit that I quit point, but you actually see those results snowball. So first off, let's talk about the program promise. So you even came to this video because you're looking for the new thing to do that's going to be the thing, the lifestyle, to see the fat loss results that you deserve. And you might even have seen my videos and be like, yeah, Corey knows her stuff. I'm going to follow whatever she says and be super excited. I know I get that way when I see something new. I'm like, yes, this is going to be the thing that makes an incredible difference, right? We get that program promise, super excited by the opportunity of that program to see the results that we want. And we go all in. We get super excited, gung-ho, all or nothing attitude. We're going to do everything exactly as it's planned out. The problem with that is that we hit habit overload. So this is where we're like, oh gosh, I'm doing 6 days a week. This doesn't feel sustainable. Oh goodness, work is really busy. Life is really busy. Oh no, I have to cut this out. I can't go to this party, right? All the habits start to overload us. And we start to be like, okay, well, I'm seeing results, so it kind of feels a little worth it. So we keep doing the habits and we keep trying to replicate them, willpowering our way through, right? We're almost white knuckling our way through, forcing ourselves to do something that we're kind of in the back of our head saying, this really doesn't fit who and what I am. This is kind of similar to things I've tried in the past now, and I'm feeling super off, and this is just too much, right? We're starting to already doubt that it's going to work. And that's where we hit that emotional sabotage, because as we're starting to doubt that it's going to work, as we're feeling overwhelmed with the habits, as they're starting to conflict with our life priorities, we stop seeing the results, right? We might have seen an instant success, or maybe we've been working really hard trying to trust in the process and things just haven't happened. And we start to think, is this even worth it? Why am I even doing this, right? We hit that emotional sabotage. And this is where we hit the point of potentially no return. Because in that emotional sabotage and thinking this isn't working, it's not worth it, we quit. That's the simple thing we do. We quit, right? It's not worth it. It's not getting me the results I want. I might as well just start over. Who cares, right? We give up. We reach for those cookies in the cabinet. We grab that pint of Ben & Jerry's out of the fridge. We go sit on the couch. We say, forget the workouts. I don't care, right? Maybe it's even that we just missed a workout. Sometimes it's something small, but we hit that point of I quit. And it depends on how long, what time of the year it is that we stay in that I quit phase. But at some point, we have that little spark of motivation. We feel our pants getting extra tight, or now there's extra clothing hanging in the back of our closet. And we say, okay, I'm going to do this again. And what do? We look for another program, another diet with label. We look for another workout routine, and we repeat the exact same cycle over and over and over and over again. You might be thinking to yourself, oh my goodness, I've done that. Or you might be thinking, no, I didn't do that. I did keto, and now I'm including carbs. Well, what if the exact diet you're going to now is the exact same pattern, going back to the old way of approaching weight loss? If you think about it that way, maybe you're still just restricting. Maybe you're still just trying to force an unrealistic routine. Maybe you're not assessing who and what you are and what's actually working. So even though it has a new label, a new shiny, bow on top, it's the same cycle over and over again because you're not truly assessing what you need. And after this, I'm going to go over the systems that address that. But this is the part where these systems come into play. It's the doubling down, okay? When you want to quit, when results feel like they are not snowballing, and usually I can tell you it happens, 5 weeks into something, 6 weeks into something, even a 6 to 9 week period where we're like, things just aren't happening fast enough. It's the point we always want to quit. If at that point, instead of giving up, we say, I know this is hard. I'm going to own my past struggles. I'm going to see what now is working for me and what isn't. And we take that honest assessment and step back. A lot of times we can double down on what's working, and we can cut out the things that aren't, and we can move forward and see our strength revealed. Because guys, strength is revealed. It is built by what we overcome. I am not going to tell you that this is going to be easy. Okay? Because it's not. Because change is never easy, right? The more we make these habits and the more we get comfortable being uncomfortable, the easier things get. But at that point, you always want to quit. And you might find that there is that pattern. It always 6 weeks, 7 weeks, 8 weeks, right? You turn back. You say, well, something might be easier instead of just pushing forward. Okay. But if you double down, you're going to reveal that strength. And through keeping doing those habits through the hard, that's where results actually snowball. Okay. It's not sexy, but it's the true way to see the results that you want. Now I want to talk about the actions you actually have to take to see those results snowball. And this comes down to creating systems. And I call them the S.T.R.O.N.G systems, okay? We are not just setting goals, we are setting systems. And there is a key component of goal setting that doesn't work. You might have thought with New Year's resolutions, oh, this isn't worth it, right? I set New Year's resolutions. I never do them. Oh, goals. What's the point? I actually felt that way for the longest time. And part of why I woke up one morning was like, oh, it's the strong systems, is because I realized that I was approaching goal setting the wrong way. And it's because I was only setting goals. I was not actually taking action, because goals were a wish. They were a dream. It's really nice. And it's actually motivating. It feels really good to say, I want this potential, right? But the thing is that potential doesn't truly make us move forward. We've got to take that first action. So if we don't set the plan to move us forward, we're never going to see the results we want. But setting that plan isn't just about having the end point. It's also about having our starting point. When you enter something into a GPS, right, it asks you for the destination you want to go to, but it also asks you for your current location. And the more accurate that current location, the better that roadmap is going to be, right? If you say, well, I'm kind of near this address or this tree, it's going to be like, okay, I'll find it, but there's going to be a lot more mishaps, right? If you say GPS locate my current location, it finds exactly the point you're on, you get a lot more accurate route to your destination. So the more accurate you can be in outlining your current lifestyle, the better your results and the better your action plan is going to be, which I'm going to help you outline those systems right now, okay? If you want to check the video description, there is a workbook to follow along with this section and even write down your thoughts. I highly encourage you to write down some notes as I go through, but even go back through it, okay? So I like to call the starting location that you're putting into your GPS the B-Stat origin story, because I believe that we are all B-Stats or beasts. We are all our own heroes, and this is our origin story. If you think about any good hero story, it always starts with points of pain, that origin story, and the overcoming of those different things. So I want you to really think about, what does your current lifestyle look like? What is your current schedule? What foods do you eat? How do you train? What do you do for fun and recovery? How do these habits and routines feel? The more you can assess your current lifestyle and bring out the pain, as negative as that sounds, bring out why you actually want that change. The more you can assess, though, truly where you're at currently, tracking, a day of food, not to make changes, tracking your workouts, tracking how you feel with your sleep, tracking how even other habits in your lifestyle feel, even logging, like, what do I do in a day? Do I get up and do this? When do I do dishes? When do I do laundry? All the different things. But the more you get that accurate picture of your lifestyle, the more you can meet yourself where you're at. And once you know that starting location, you can also say, okay, now where do I want to go? And in this, you want to really set your vision. I don't even want you to think about what's realistic, because honestly, guys, we don't even know what's possible half the time until we prove it possible. So instead of doubting yourself, instead of holding yourself back with saying, oh, that's just impossible, set your ideal vision. What would a day in your life, if you achieve the goal that you want, really look like? Like, what do you want? Okay. Think about, what do you truly want to achieve if there was no limitation on it? What is your dream and your vision for your life? What does every day in that vision of your life look like? And then think about, why do you want it? Okay. With the B-Stat origin story, we want to say why we want to overcome the pain of staying stuck. But we also want to have that significance in the pain of achieving that potential. So think about, why does this truly matter for you? And you might be thinking, well, I want to lose 10 pounds for vanity reasons, because I want to fit back into those skinny jeans I have in my closet. And you might be thinking, well, this is kind of vain, and maybe there's not a big significant why. But there always is a bigger attachment to it, or other ways that seeing that result can snowball, right? I can tell you that for me, I wanted to first achieve abs, and I thought it wasn't possible for me. And the first time I achieved it, there was a huge impact in other parts of my life, partly because I proved to myself that I could overcome things that I thought I couldn't. Okay. I proved to myself that I was stronger than I thought I was. And that snowballed into me taking more opportunities, seeing more success in other areas of my life, because I actually allowed myself to overcome that, right? Something that was, potentially just an aesthetic, vain goal, right? Something that I just wanted for me that all the other people didn't care about, really helped me become more comfortable being uncomfortable and overcome other challenges. So think about, hey, this is something I've said I've not been able to do. How can overcoming this and making this commitment and showing yourself your strength in this way impact other areas? And even if it doesn't seem, like your goal is more than superficial, really dig deep into what other ramifications this can have. And think about, again, what would your life look like? Not just what you want, but what would be the habits that you're having to do? Because a lot of this isn't faking it till you make it. It's acting as if, and we have to know what we have to act as if we want to achieve the actual goal. Now, going off of this, with all of this vision, all this destination, this is why how we've approached goal setting, how we've approached setting our destination hasn't worked in the past. And it's why we've always seen SMART goals fail. They said I was not a fan of SMART goals because I never actually took action on them. Okay. SMART goals simply don't highlight the why. They don't focus on the habits. They don't own that change is hard, which we're going to get into. I know it sounds negative. They don't give you multiple targets. They don't meet you where you're at. and they don't start with action. Okay. And this is what the S.T.R.O.N.G systems is going to help you do. So if you've been a goal setting doubter, a New Year's resolution hater, give this some time and set these systems. You're going to be surprised by how much they actually help you take action and move forward. So let's jump into what S.T.R.O.N.G means and what the S.T.R.O.N.G systems are. So we're not just setting SMART goals. We're truly setting those action plans to move forward. Okay. You're going to have that blueprint all outlined as we go through. S is significant. Okay. We're going to go into why your systems have to be significant, why your end destination has to be significant. We're going to talk about targeting, how you create those targets. We're going to talk about repeatable and creating those repeatable habits and the habit stack. We're going to talk about optimized, and this is optimizing and owning your struggles in the past, your obstacles, and seeing the opportunity in them. We're also going to talk about non-negotiables. I told you nutrition by addition, owning those non-negotiables are so key. And then the final thing is go, right? You're going to have all these different things you can act on. Then it's time to take action. And I'm going to tell you how you can take action today. Okay. So starting with significant, what we value, we prioritize. If your goal does not matter to you, you are not going to take action towards it. And there is a caveat to this because there is something in setting goals that we can't always make the goal more motivational. And so you have to assess, what is the significance for me? And you might have dived as deep as you can. You're like, yes, I want to overcome this. Yes, it will show me my strength. But gosh darn it, these 10 pounds only matter so much when all the other life priorities come into play. Okay. And owning that significance is key, because then how you adjust the other systems can play into that, right? Because the pain of staying stuck has to outweigh the pain of change. Sometimes we can't change the significance or pain of staying stuck, but we can change pain of change. So own your significance of your goal. Okay. Think about, why do you want to achieve this goal? Think about what this will truly impact in your life, and even who else in your life will impact. Will, making these healthy lifestyle changes, even though you might only need to lose 10 pounds, impact your spouse, impact other family members who need to lose weight, get other people moving in a way they should, create other healthy habits for your family that you've been wanting to implement, right? There is a far-reaching impact, honestly, often to just a small goal that we have. Okay. Where can achieving this goal also lead? I can tell you that I've had clients lose weight, overcome obstacles in the gym, and then go out and ask for, raises and promotions at their job because they built that confidence and they see themselves achieve something they didn't think was possible. They found that empowerment. Okay. So think about how this will be empowering, in that you'll be more comfortable being uncomfortable. You'll have proven you can overcome something while small. That snowballs. Okay. Who else will this impact in your life? Will it impact your spouse? Will it impact your other family members? Will it impact your friends? There's going to be an impact, both positive and negative, and we want to really assess that. And then how will this impact your future if you accomplish it and if you don't? Think about where you'll still be in a year if you don't change today, or you don't make these changes, if you don't achieve this goal and you're acting as if. Think about what your life will look like if you have. What will change? I think sometimes envisioning that, we can see, oh my goodness, I'll be able to do all these other things. Right? All those clothes I have hanging in the back of my closet, I'll be wearing them. I won't have wasted them. I'll get even new clothes because of it. Or I'll feel comfortable kayaking, hiking on that vacation. I'll see my blood markers improve. I'll feel more functionally fit. I'll overcome these injuries. I'll be moving in the way that I want, inspiring all these other people. But assess what your future will truly look like, because that will help you implement the habits that will actually get you there. And then after thinking about why your goal is significant, we have to focus on the targets. Okay. Direction truly drives us. If you say, well, I want to lose weight, and that's not a very clear end destination, right? And you were just put like, oh, I want to go somewhere in this location over near this park, right? But no actual destination. Your GPS is going to be like, well, I don't know how to get there, right? Direction gives us that clear route to our goal. So we need to set something very targeted and focused. But it's not just about setting our end destination that's important. We all heard, we need to break down our big goal into smaller goals. And yes, that is very key, right? That helps us see the small add up and recognize how far we are actually come. And I would even tell you, as you're setting those targets, guys, put a representation of where you are right now when you're starting up somewhere. Okay. Because sometimes looking back in that rear view mirror and seeing what was behind us can help us keep moving forward. Because even in hitting one of those mini targets, that target still seems far away. All we see is how far we still have to go. But seeing how far we've come, that can motivate us to keep pushing. So have even right now that first target visual somewhere, just so you can keep seeing the progress towards the next target. But not only are we setting the mini goals towards our ultimate goal, we want to set complementary targets. Okay. We want to think, what related goals can we set that will help us do the habits we need to achieve success? So if you want to lose weight, if you want to lose fat, what are the dietary habits or dietary goals you could set for yourself? What are workout or performance goals? I love, when I'm trying to push hard in the gym saying, I want to, achieve this X deadlift weight or achieve more pull-ups or more push-ups or a single leg squat. Some performance goal that allows me to feel motivated in the gym, but also see my hard work paying off. And that might be, just hitting your macro breakdown consistently. That might be just logging your food consistently. That might be adding more vegetables consistently, right? It can be a habit goal as well, because that can motivate us by seeing our own consistency, doing the things we should, and help us trust in the process. But then within those things, set mini targets. What's your weekly goal for your workouts? What's your daily goal for this workout? Are you trying to do 5 more pounds here, 1 more rep, right? Set those mini targets within it to help us move forward. Not only the main goal, but also the complementary goals. And then just think, how are you going to even track these mini targets to keep yourself moving forward? But you want to give yourself as many ways to sort of see progress to measure success as possible, because that will keep you doing the things that you should. When you can say, hey, my workouts are progressing, you're going to, keep pushing hard in your workouts, which will ultimately lead to weight loss. If you can see the changes adding up in the kitchen, you're going to keep pushing hard to see that fat loss, right? So we want to make sure that we're setting those complementary goals. Maybe even set a race, right? You set something else that will help you measure progress. But the more ways we measure progress, the more ways we allow ourselves to see success, the more successful we will be. So think about the fact that, maybe you're not seeing the scale change. Okay, well, if you want fat loss, want body recomposition, the scale isn't even necessarily the best tool. So can you take a pair of pants out of your closet and step into them every once in a while to see if they're fitting looser? Can you take body measurements, progress pictures? We have to give ourselves ways of measuring data too, because feelings are data. And there's going to be a day that you might have even lost weight or seen body recomp happen or done all the things you should, and you wake up feeling like you bloated, right? Fatter than you were before. And all of a sudden you're going to sabotage yourself. So use pictures, use the different ways of measuring, use progress in the gym of weights or 1 more rep or harder variation, right? But give yourself more ways to measure progress and to give yourself an objective outside look too, because feelings are not data. And we will get very wrapped up in how we feel about something, especially if we're not measuring the progress towards those goals and giving ourselves little mini checkpoints. Okay. And I will tell you, even setting those habits as a focus of like, hey, did I do these habits consistently, can keep us very honest about how good we're being with things. And I use good in air quotes, but good with things to keep moving forward. And even assess where there's still room for growth or opportunity and potentially some deviations. Okay. Then next, we want to be making repeatable habits. Okay. We get good at what we consistently do, plain and simple. Okay. We are really good at the habits we've repeated. We are really good at keeping ourselves stuck in that change loop, repeating over and over, that habit overload, that emotional sabotage, the quitting, finding a new program promise, right? We are really good at keeping ourselves stuck. We are really good at doing all the habits we have done for the last however many years. So anything new is going to be very different and feel very foreign and not feel comfortable. Okay. So the more we can break things down to meet ourselves where we're at, which is why that beast at origin story is so key, the better off we're going to be. So you want to think about when you're actually looking at the target and when you're looking at where you are right now, what changes will you need to make? Okay. What will get you to your ultimate goal? If you've outlined that lifestyle, what a day in the life at your goal looks like, what changes are needed and what habits are there and what habits will you need to build towards? Okay. What new habits will you need to create, basically? Then what will be done daily, weekly, monthly? I think the more we break things down into little bite-sized pieces, and then we even outline how we'll have to track, weekly, monthly, whatever else, the better off we're going to be. Okay. Because the smaller we make things and the more daily we make things, those boring basics, the better we're going to get at them and the more they're going to snowball. But there will be those weekly checkpoints. We have those monthly things that we also check in on that we're not necessarily changing all the time. Like our workouts, we might stick with them for a month, 3 weeks, 6 weeks, right? But those are going to be longer increments where we're going to check back in, make swaps to our habits. But they still have to be repeatable. And then will these changes habits be hard? Is your goal worth it? So I mentioned sometimes the significance of our why can't be made more pressing to us. That pain can't be made more. So then we have to assess, okay, if I feel like I'm working really hard, and this is where that emotional sabotage often creeps in. If I feel like I'm working really hard, not seeing the results that equal the hard work and effort, I give up. Okay. So the effort we're giving has to equal the results that we're giving, which means sometimes we have to give a little less effort so we don't feel like we're banging our head against the wall or we don't feel overloaded and then ultimately give up. So if your goal, you say, is this significant, right? Think about the pain you are willing, the discomfort you are willing to endure, the new habits you're willing to put yourself through that will feel a little weird at first, and then say, is this feeling worth it? If it's not, break it down a little bit more, right? And then say, hey, this is the ultimate habit I want to implement. This is the ultimate goal, but how can I make this feel easier to start so I don't feel the pain balance scale sort of shifting in a negative direction, which will make me hit that emotional sabotage, that habit overload, and ultimately give up. And then think about what struggles will you face with these habits. Okay. There are a lot of habits we say, well, I know this habit is good, but, Okay. Tracking is a big one that comes up often, tracking your macros. Tracking is, I know I need to do it, but I can't do it. Okay. Well, how have you approached tracking in the past? Have you always used a food logger? What about not weighing and measuring your food, but instead using visual portions to start? What about just writing out what you're currently eating and then choosing one thing to change? What about just even focusing on vegetables instead of even saying, I'm going to cut anything out, right? Think about the habits you've done in the past, why you even have the association with them. Because I can tell you a lot of times with tracking, we also have that association because we've only done it to restrict, only done it to judge. And so we're like, the tracking is restricted. It's horrible. It's miserable. It's, deprives me of all the things I love. No, you did. You decided to interpret the data from what you logged and do those actions, right? But we usually do tracking also because we're not happy with where we are at in terms of our weight, in terms of our fat loss. So we track, and it's all these negative associations, right? So we want to assess, like, why do I have these associations with this tool, with this habit? But also, okay, how have I implemented this past? What could I do differently this time that will help? And in owning these different things, part of this is not only the new habits we're going to have to learn, but it's unlearning old habits and behaviors. And that's why I say you have to start to assess why you struggled with them, because it's going to be potentially breaking down. Okay, I have had this, feeling about tracking in the past. How can I unlearn this emotional attachment to it? How can I unlearn when I'm not seeing results doing more in my workouts? How can I unlearn wanting to cut my calories lower? How can I unlearn going to the cabinet when I have a long and stressful day, right? We have to make some of the current patterns that we're doing very conscious. And that's not an easy process. It's why to start, it's the hardest part, because we are unlearning and making unconscious patterns, things that are really easy for us to replicate on a daily basis that have been solutions to problems. And not only are we trying to unlearn and make these things conscious, we're trying to put new things on top of it. And that's really hard to do both at once. It's why it can deplete our self-control and willpower a little bit. It's why we have to be conscious of what we're having to unlearn and what we're trying to put on ourselves and balance everything out. But it's also why it's super key we do that B-step origin story. It can feel really weird to be really assessing your current lifestyle, but the more you understand it, the more you'll make all those habits instantly conscious to make that unlearning process even easier, okay? And then you want to think about, how can I help myself break these patterns? How can I make myself aware of these patterns in the moment? Or when they do pop up, how can I pause to assess? And part of this is the O. It's the optimized, okay? This is own the obstacles to see the opportunities. I think so often something happens, we eat off plan, we do one thing, and I like to call it slash another 3 times, right? We get a flat, and then instead of just, calling a tow truck, we slash the other 3, we have one cookie, and then we eat the whole box, right? We just go completely off the plan because we've ruined the day. And trust me, I've done that on more than one occasion. Even knowing I shouldn't, I still occasionally do it. It's going to pop up. And I think even recognizing that there will be habits that will pop up for a long time, that we do want to default back into who we used to be even when we were really little, right? Some of those things are even still there, pulling us back constantly, even as we've changed over the years. But we want to own those obstacles because then we can find the opportunities in them to really move forward. The more we recognize the challenges with everything else we've done in the past, the more we can avoid those same mistakes. And that's why I said, we might do keto one time and then do paleo another time and then do carnivore another time and then do vegan and then do vegetarian, and not realize that even though these things have different labels, they're all creating the same lifestyle restrictions that we can't ultimately sustain. We're going to all or nothing. Maybe one of those was even right for us. We're going to all or nothing with the approach even to those swaps, and that's what's not working. But the more we can say, why didn't this work? Okay, it's not just that keto was low carb, because even doing a higher carb one didn't work. It's the restriction, right? Telling myself I can't have food instantly makes me want it. That makes me fall off. So it's assessing deeper and asking yourself why, almost being that annoying kid. Why? But the more we really think about those struggles, those obstacles, and find the opportunity in them, and it can even be like, here's an obstacle I think I have. What's 3 opportunities in it? Here's an obstacle. It's raining today, so I can't go out for my run. Okay, well, what's the opportunity? I could do more mobility work. I could do my strength workout instead. Or, my body really needed a recovery day. I'm going to take it. But owning the opportunity in it is really key. So you want to think about, when you're really trying to create this new plan, implement these new habits, what have you struggled with in the past and why? What challenges do you now face, and do you think you could even face, right? Because even if we're owning past struggles, owning past challenges, there are things in our life that are priorities that are going to come up again. You might have that busy season at work that is going to come up again. You might have that time of year that you travel, or the holidays that are, not the normal routine. Thinking about these things as maybe they're not struggles, or potentially even fun things, but as struggles to stay consistent with your healthy habits that you're trying to implement. Thinking about them that way, how can you now optimize around them? How can you handle them? How can you plan for them? Because the more prepared we are, the more when we encounter the hard, we're like, oh, that wasn't that bad. Okay. So think about how will you overcome them? How will you handle them? Because the more you are prepared, the better off you're going to be. And the easier it is to actually handle those missteps, mistakes, setbacks as they come up. And guys, it is a learning process. Okay. You're going to have things come up, but instead of running from the mistakes that you make, see those failures as learning with frustration. Okay. But see it as an opportunity to grow. And I want you to think right now, even take a second, assess the past struggles to plan for them, okay? And I love using this as an example because I think one of the biggest things we often struggle with is I was good all week, right? Weekend eating. That is a pattern that can sabotage us. And instead of, owning it, that our weekend habits are different, we run from it. Oh, I was good all week. We try and white knuckle our way through, push our way through the weekends, doing the same habits. And ultimately, some weekend, we just can't do that. Instead of saying, okay, the good old week is a pattern I've repeated in the past, and it's ultimately what leads to me falling off and repeating that change loop going back and saying nothing will work for me. I quit and trying to find another program instead of recognizing that weekends are different. How can I plan for them? Okay. How can I create different habits? Knowing I'm at home, can I meal prep differently? Can I plan in a meal out? Can I have different habits? Can I find new activities that will get me out of the house on the weekend so I'm not right by the kitchen? But think about what you struggle with. If you struggle with consistency, how can you help yourself be more consistent? Can you break things down more? If you struggle with finding the time, well, how can you plan for the time you have? If you struggle with creating balance, well, what's the struggle? Where is the struggle? Is it that you're not owning your priorities? Is it that you're not planning for time with family? Is it that you're not planning for time out with girls and you're feeling like that person always on a diet? Do you even struggle with knowing what works? Have you actually sat down and said, what has worked for me in the past to see results and why? Or where am I at currently? And what do I feel is a change I could make today? But really assess what has worked for me in the past, what has been an obstacle for me in the past. And in assessing what's worked for you and assessing what's important to you, think about your non-negotiables, okay? If we do not own our priorities, they become our excuses. And that's why our excuses can be so valid and it can be so frustrating when we're hit with them, right? Because we think, I don't have time. My family is important. I don't have time for this, right? Or, work's just too much. I can't do these other things. It's because work, family, all these different things might be priorities to us. And that's not a bad thing, but we need to own that and then plan around it. And when you're thinking about this, I want you to think about even some of the small things, okay? You want to think about what habits and routines do you love in your lifestyle? Do you enjoy that girls' night out? Do you enjoy that pizza night with your family? Do you enjoy your coffee with milk in the morning? Do you enjoy your dessert? Anything small that you really enjoy even, it doesn't have to be big things. It can be really small things, but think about the things that you enjoy, the routines and habits that you love. And think about the big priorities, work, family. Think about the things that are truly important to you that you feel like have created excuses for you in the past. And then think about what sacrifices am I willing to make and what sacrifices am I unwilling to make? Because the more we assess, okay, this truly isn't important to me in the grand scheme of things, so maybe I'll give this up first, the more we're going to move forward in that way. But thinking about, hey, I don't want to sacrifice this. Maybe eventually you'll be comfortable making a change to it. But right now, if that's going to put up a big wall in front of you, don't change it. So think about those things that are non-negotiable, the sacrifices you are unwilling to make that maybe in the past you've even tried to force yourself to make, but that ultimately lead to you falling off. Okay. Think about what will create a feeling of restriction or make changes unsustainable if you cut those things out. So as silly as it seems, okay, and yes, I love the nothing but cakes, but as silly as it seems, for me, dessert was a non-negotiable. Okay. And I was constantly depriving myself because I knew my desserts, my cookies, my ice cream were not necessarily the most macro-friendly things. And when I thought about, eating clean and dieting down and falling for the diets with labels, I would cut out my dessert. Okay. It was the first thing to go, but it was the thing that I loved the most. And so the second I cut it out, like one day in, I'd literally be thinking about, oh goodness, when can I have dessert again? What can I think can I do? I'd be sitting there the first night being like, oh, I'm watching TV and I just want dessert, right? It was something that I'd had in my lifestyle forever. Sure. Did I know I technically would not die if I cut it out? Of course. Okay. But for me, it was a pattern, a routine, a habit, something that I did really love and I felt attached to. And so once I realized I'm not going to cut this out first, this is one of my non-negotiables, I started to make other changes and those changes led to results snowballing. And the funny thing about non-negotiables is that when you choose to then cut something out, you don't feel restricted. You don't feel deprived. You're not thinking, oh, I can't have that cookie now. I want it. When you're saying, hey, I'm not having this cookie tonight, or hey, I'm not going to do dessert because I want this other thing in my macros and I've found my balance with this day, or hey, I don't want to go out to this meal because I'd actually want to go get my workout down because I'll feel way better and I can go out some other time, right? You start to say, even though that meal out with friends is usually a non-negotiable, it wasn't important in this case because you were making the choice, right? So when we own our non-negotiables, when we own our priorities, when we own what we value and we don't sacrifice it right away, we then feel more in control. We feel more like we can make the choice. And that's really key. When we're told we can't have something, we instantly want it. When we're choosing to not do something, it's a completely different story, and that makes everything way more sustainable. And that helps us take action. That is the go. Okay. That is the key component of these strong systems. Nothing changes if you don't act. Okay. We can sit here all day and talk about what you want and where you're at currently, but ultimately you have to take that first step forward. And the reason it's so key to go through all these different things, setting mini targets, setting those repeatable habits, optimizing it, owning those different struggles to see the opportunities, setting those non-negotiables is because they allow you to set the habits that will move you forward that you could do today. Okay. When you know where you're at currently, you can take that one step forward. It might be inching forward to start, but you can still take that one step forward. You can't inch forward and make a very small change if you don't actually know where you currently are, okay? So think about what's one small change you can make today based on your current daily habits. Maybe you're like, I drink 1 glass of water. That's all I drink every day. So I'm going to drink 1.5, okay? Might seem silly simple, but that's an amazing way to start because, guys, the more ways we make ourselves feel successful, the more we're going to find that motivation, the more we're going to find that momentum because you actually create motivation. You actually create momentum. It's not easy. Takes action, but we can create it today by taking that small step forward. And so often what we don't realize is the more you do in both a positive and negative direction. And by taking that positive action, feeling successful with it, even if, we could do more, right? But so often when we do more and then we don't do part of what we think is more, we say, well, I can't be perfect. And we start doing a lot more of less, right? So it's almost more the mindset of success that creates that snowball. So think about one silly, simple action that you could take today. How can you make sure you're able to implement this change tomorrow even and the day after, right? Can you set out a water bottle first thing in the morning to help yourself? If you're trying to eat more protein, can you add in one more protein snack and get something easy that you put already in your purse to take with you? But think about one way that you can easily help yourself be more conscious of the habit tomorrow and the day after and the day after that. And that's where that habit stacking can even come into play. What's one way to build off of this change? You want to think about that habit stack because this is how discipline is truly built. We get good at one thing and we get really comfortable with it. And then we move on to stacking another habit or doing more of that on top of it. And because we're stacking slowly up, when life does try and get in the way, we default back down to the level before. But that level is already higher or better than where we were at before. So if you're eating 90 grams of protein right now, and then you start eating 100 grams of protein versus going to your ultimate goal of 150, you're going to get really good at eating 100 grams. And when you feel comfortable with that, you can add on 10 more. But if you're building towards that 150, if you even get to 150 and then life gets in the way, you might only default back to 120, right? But you're still a lot above that 90 grams because you've slowly built up and you've made it easier and easier. And it's become more habit, more ingrained. That discipline has been built. So we want to think about how can we build off those habits so that we're creating that discipline so that when life does get stressful, when things do get in the way, we're defaulting back to doing more. We're making the lows less low so the highs can be higher. And then think off of this, like what's one complementary habit even? So if you're trying to increase protein, you're adding 10 more grams, what's something else you could do? Hey, I'll increase water as well. Or, hey, I'll increase my veggie intake. Or, hey, I'm going to add in one more workout. Think about one other thing that will feel good with the habit that will be easy to do alongside it instead of overwhelming yourself. And guys, with all this, the whole point of meeting yourself where you're at, creating those small habits is the simple fact that you can't out-exercise or out-diet time. Trust me, I have tried. And I've tried time and time again. And ultimately, it kept me stuck in that change loop, that yo-yo dieting cycle for a very long time. And there was a fabulous picture of me and Ryan. And the first photos truly when we were trying to honestly lose weight and we were stuck in that change loop where we just couldn't get out of it, right? We hit that habit overload and we're like, forget it. We're going out on, St. Patty's Day. Who cares? And clearly our diet was not working, especially compared to now. But once I got out of the mindset of I have to do everything right now, I started to stack those habits. I started to really look at what I was doing correctly, set those systems in place. I busted out the change loop. I doubled down on things that were working. I revealed my own strength and I saw those results snowball. But I stopped trying to out exercise and out diet time because simply there's not more tactics often that we need, right? You're searching right now for a new workout, a new diet program, but what you really need is all this. Okay. You need to set those habits, set those systems in place, honestly assess where you are and where you want to go so you can bust out the change loop because no amount of tactics is going to help you beat out time. Okay. So just to sum up the strong systems, because I want you to really sit down. I want you to outline these things and I want you to take think. Okay. I know we can easily think, oh, well, I'm not a goal setter. I'm not a person that does this. Yes, you are. Okay. And if you aren't, maybe that's why you're stuck in that change loop. Okay. So do something different today and double down and outline what you need. But think about what's your origin story. Okay. Think about the pain of your B-step story right now, where your hero is going to overcome that. Your heroine's going to overcome that. Okay. What does your current lifestyle look like? And get to the nitty gritty. Think about even the pain of those clothes hanging in the back of your closet that you have not worn in a very long time that are gathering dust. You're starting a museum in your closet, right? We don't want that. Think about the aches and pains that you've had that have not allowed you to do what you want to do on a vacation. Think about all the things that you want to accomplish and maybe where your lifestyle right now is not helping you move forward towards them. Then set your destination and really outline that vision. Don't just try and think, well, I don't know what's possible, because you are going to prove so much more possible by just even outlining that vision and understanding the habits of that person that is stepping into the goals that you want. Okay. So think about why you want this goal, despite potentially having to make sacrifices, overcome change and challenges. Okay. Then set those complementary goals. Again, it might be a weight loss goal, it might be a fat loss goal, but set those gym performance goals, set those habit goals. Think about different goals you can set for yourself in the kitchen, even trying new recipes, but set other goals to challenge yourself so that you can see those habits being implemented that will ultimately pay off in the exact way you'd like. And then outline those starting habits today and do one today. I want you to even comment on this video and say what you're doing today. Okay. And then I want you to go do it right after you comment it. But think about one silly, simple habit that feels so ridiculous in doing it that you're like, is this even making a change? Because it is. Because the more you do, the more you do. Okay. So start with that one action today. But bust out of the change loop, help yourself move forward. Stop defaulting back into the old way of dieting. Embrace the new, embrace the challenges, take action for yourself today. If you like the video, make sure to like it, comment below if you have any questions, and subscribe. We're posting new videos each week.